Hello everyone, today we've got something different for us. Peter McLean's with us today and we're going to be looking at a Quick R. Now this can apply to many different trikes out there, but we want to just have a look and see what we do before we fly an aircraft. It's called the Preflight and we want to make sure the aircraft is ready to fly, it's airworthy, and we're not doing a full maintenance overhaul or anything silly like that. We are just really checking and double checking that everything is good to fly.
During its takeoff roll from Essendon Airport on the morning of the 21st of February 2017, the aircraft began diverging to the left of the runway centreline. After approximately 10 seconds in the air and reaching a maximum altitude of just 160 feet, the aircraft began to descend, subsequently colliding with the roof of a retail outlet centre adjacent to the runway.
The 100 hourly service, of course, is something completely different. So this will be a brief overview of what we must do before we take an aircraft out and have our fun, really. So Peter here, he's at Yarrawonga Flight Training in Yarrawonga, obviously, YFT known to many. Hangar 19, if you haven't been here, you should come, it's quite fun. Peter's a bit of a character sometimes. He does have a serious side, so don't get on the wrong side of him. But he's full of common sense as well. As we're about to find out, let's go and have a check and have a look at a Quick R. You might want to buy a Quick R while you're here too, order fast, because they're not lasting long, you know? You know? Nah, anyway, carry on.
I'm Peter McLean, CFI at YFT, Yarrawonga Flight Training. Now the best thing to do before you even start moving the aircraft around is have a good look, stand back, look at the symmetry of the wing on the top and all around. If there's any oil leaks or fluid leaks, they'll be on the ground where the aircraft is placed at this point. That's your first start to your pre-flight. This is a Quick R, and general pre-flight, first thing you want to check is the cockpit. So we don't want the aircraft to be live when we're pre-flighting. So we check our switches are in the off position, and we check that our key is off as well. Have a good look around in the cockpit, make sure there's no loose items. Next, check that your pins are in at the front. And at this point you can see pins here, 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 thread here. We work our way up. We have pins here. We can see our torque sealers on up the top here. And we've got our carabiners done up. The pins are in here and here. And that's basically this part here. Okay, so we've done our first part there. We check our fuels. Now I know there's sufficient fuel in here. Our fuel tap is on, which is just in here. We then move up to the engine. We check that our spark plugs are attached, and we also check that the springs are attached as well and no broken. You shouldn't break a spring on a Quick R. They've already been preset for you. We check that our strut here is movable, our antenna is connected, and our spat is also connected. We now move around to the rear of the aircraft. Okay, so we're now at the propeller, the sharp end of the plane. Watch out for the blades. Never run your fingers down the blade, because what can happen is if you've got a nick in one of these props, it'll give you a paper cut which you won't forget. So when you look at them, look for any deformations in it, any cracks or chips. You will get chipping in the blades, but generally it's not that bad. We then look at our spinner, and we're looking at the bolts here to make sure they're all in. We then look under here, and what we're looking for is any fluid leaks. Torque seal is on our oil filter. We don't want to see any coolant on the floor, or coolant around here, or oil around here. We check out that there's nothing unusual here. Everything needs to be looking as it should. We then take a step around to here. Again, we're looking at our fuel pump. Always check for your breather hose for the fuel. If a wasp has got in there, it will not fill up evenly. So if that does get caught, what you need to do is remove your side skirt, put a compressor onto the end of that tube, blast it, the wasp nest will come out. We now put a bolt in there to stop that from happening. Again, we come around here, we're looking at our springs, and we're looking at the various spark plug caps. They need to be intact. Again, we look around at our spat, feeling our spat that it's not loose. Check the nut there. Make sure that that is attached. They can come loose when they're new. Shouldn't, but it can. So always check that. We now move into this section. The next section, we've checked our springs here. Again, we check to make sure our strut is movable. In the side skirt here, moving that like so, we have our fuel filter. Once again, we want to see it clean, no water in there. Once we've done that, place your side skirt back and we check our oil. Unclip the top. On the top here, if you see any white moisture, wipe it off. There's none on this one, but you'd wipe it off. That just means that it hasn't got up to temperature. We now check our oil level on our dipstick, and we can see here that the oil is right to the top. Now it can go a fair way down, which is not a problem, and before you put it back in, just clean it and then just pop it straight back in. Okay, so we now put our cap back on. Don't forget to check your cam locks on the top here. Now they're on both sides. We would have checked those on the other side, and you just make sure that they're all in place. 3 on that side, 2 on this side. Okay. Choke should be off. Throttle should be in the off position. If the throttle is on at all, any small amount, the engine will not start. It's a safety feature with this model. So if that's forward at all, the engine will not start. It's a safety feature. It must be all the way back. A good check to do before you start the engine. We now move out to the wing here. Okay, check your pins here, here, and on the top here. Thread through there. We now move further around to the front. And we want to check that our static vent is clear and all 4 cam locks are in place. You can also check your screws around the front here as well. They shouldn't be undone, but human intervention, they could be. We look down here and we want to see the pins in here and thread through there. Again, check the other side as well. We now check our pitot tube and we want to make sure that the pitot tube is also clear. So we don't want to see that being blocked or anything like that. We now look up at the wing and we're looking for a symmetrical shape. At this point, I can see my 2 pins inside here. I can see all the pins on the wing, and you could pull the wing down and release the nose nappy. I don't bother because if that swan catch is undone, that will just fall apart. We now work our way out on the strut. Now we move up the strut and we come up to our pin in the strut here. That needs to be in. The next thing, undo your inspection hatch. Now you look into the inspection hatch and what you want to see are the pins over there and the threads on the bolt.
Okay.
Right. Okay, we now make sure that we do this back up, and that's right there. We now move out to the wingtip. Okay, once you get to your wingtip, you'll see this little bolt out here. Hold the bolt down and pull it from there. Do not pull it down by the battens. You can look up into the wingtip and see the sprogs, as well as your cross members and all that. That will, again, you're looking for something that's not normal. They are all normal, so we're all happy with that. Release that gently. We now move along the wing and we're looking for our battens to make sure they're all done up. So underneath battens and on top battens, they cannot come undone without human intervention. So it takes a human to undo this. They will not come undone accidentally. So you're just checking them. We then move up into this section here. Move around. Move the blade around a bit. Next, we look at our pin here. Essential that that's in place and not undone. Once again, we can see our lines here, and we've got to double check on our thread through the bolts here. We then move along and we look at our battens on this side, same as we did on the previous slide. Okay, we're now at the wingtip again. Once again, holding this section here, pull it down so you can see inside the wing. That way you can see the sprogs and all the stars, cables and everything that are in there. Once we've done that, they're all good. We release that wing and then we move along here to our next inspection port. We open our inspection port here and once again we're looking up in here for thread and pins. We do not want to see those undone. Once again, do your inspection hatch up, all good. Checking here for our pin in the actual strut. Work your way down the strut and you're right back where you started.
A fuel drain? What's a fuel drain, Pete? Come on, you better explain that a bit better, hey?
This is a fuel cup and it's got the spigot. For this one, we use this one for our fuel drain in this, and all we do is simply push that up. There we go, we've got our fuel.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see there's no golden beads in the bottom, and the golden beads would indicate water in the fuel. Because my filtration system's really good, I don't have to worry about this, it's not there. But if you use a Mr. Funnel, you won't get water in your fuel. Your pre-flight is complete.
All right, thanks Peter for today. That's been very informative. I hope that everyone watching this video has got something out of it or will be able to do their pre-flights better and understand why it's important to do their pre-flight. Have you got anything else you might want to add before we close this video?
Fly safe.
Fly safe. There's nothing else to know, it's that easy. Everyone can do this. Anyway, catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
You can see the water in the bottom. There it is. Nothing in the fuel at the top, only at the bottom.
Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already, or you are new to the channel, like the video and hit the subscribe button to stay connected for future CrayonBox flying adventures.